Good day. Welcome to the Talk It Out podcast. My name is Neal Bailey-Harper, and today I open the doors to the auction house. I got some shit to sell, y'all, and it's good too. The music I'm listening to. Hey, as a saxophone player, I'm going to feature some really good alto saxophone players. And if you are a saxophone player, you will understand that there will be no Kenny G today. I said good saxophone players. So, no Kenny G. This is Spyro Gyra from the 1979 album Morning Dance. This is the song Morning Dance. Jay Beckenstein, great alto saxophone player. Listen, I love the NBA. I love the NFL, but I love the NBA too. And Dwayne Wade, who is a Hall of Fame basketball player, is retiring this year. So per his desire, he's going to, every time he visits a city for the last time, he's going to swap jerseys with the opposing star of the team or somebody on the team of his choice. It's pretty cool. But it got me to thinking about memorabilia. And unless you're a professional athlete, to me, how fucking absurd it is. I live in the Washington area, Washington, D.C., and the Wizards, maybe 10 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, had a basketball player by the name of Gilbert Arenas. Very good basketball player, all-star player. And Gilbert, at the end of games, would take off his jersey and give it to somebody in the crowd. Now, that was pretty cool. But it made me think, you're going to throw me your jersey after you played in it for 48 minutes, sweaty, or whatever, wipe your nose, all that kind of stuff. You can throw that. Why don't you just bring some? If you want to give a jersey after every game, why not just bring out some brand new ones? Sign them and throw it to somebody. Now, people always took the jersey from him because they felt like they could sell it or they just wanted it. I don't know. My image is seeing a wet jersey come flying my way because I love Gilbert Arenas. Okay. But the thing about memorabilia made me think is that the whole goal of memorabilia is for me to convince you that something that is used, already been used, I have, and it's of value. In other words, something worth $19.99, I'm going to convince you to pay $1 million for it. Now, disclaimer, we're in America. We can do what the fuck we want with our money. And really, we do. Think about this. A signed baseball card that when you bought it maybe 30, 40 years ago might have been worth $1, somehow becomes worth $50,000? Why? The only thing I can gauge out of memorabilia is that people with money to waste, or people with money who decide to waste it, buy this shit to put it in their house so people can come look at it, say, ooh, ah, and you get excited by that. It's all in our head. It's an ego thing. But there is a $2 billion memorabilia industry selling you shit that I'm convincing you is real that might have happened 100 years ago. I mean, if we really stop to think about it, a baseball, $20 in a store, because Barry Bonds hits his 756th or whatever, 702 millionth home run with it, so he now holds the all-time record. That baseball that flies over that fence, the value goes from $20 to $754,000 for a baseball. Hey, this is AWB. Hamish Stewart and Alan Gore from 1975. Their first album, Cut the Cake. This is Cut the Cake. Again, really good saxophone players. No Kenny G. I remember when these guys came out, everybody was like, sometimes black people, we want to make it seem like if it's really funky, it has to be done by black people. That was the talk. Until you found out that these 5 boys listened to James Brown over in Sweden or somewhere, and they were just funky. So that's Cut the Cake. Okay, here's the other thing. This memorabilia thing happens not only in sports. Baseball is the biggest one, the trading cards. I remember 10, 15 years ago teaching, we wanted to pass this on to our children with the value of Pokemon cards. I wonder how much any of those are worth today. But here's the real scam. I'm going to give you a name, Rudy Carniawan. His real name was, I believe, Zin Chang Huang. But he called himself Rudy. And he was a wine connoisseur. So 10, 20 years ago, Rudy found his way into big circles. People with billions of dollars who used to get bottles of wine and they'd open them, let them breathe. The ones that some they'd open. Most of them was just trophy cases. Okay, I might pay $100 for a really good bottle of wine. To me, that's where I'm going. Don't care how much money I got. I'm not going too much higher than that. These guys were paying $60,000, $70,000 for one bottle of wine. And the thing about it, they weren't opening the wine. They were just putting it on the shelf. Come look at my wine. And everybody goes, ooh, I get hard. We all go home. I don't get it. But Rudy hung out in the biggest of wine circles. He was at one time said to have the biggest wine cellar, most valuable one in the world. He hung out with the Koch brothers. And if you don't know who the Koch brothers are, you should, because they know who you are. But Rudy starts selling his wine to an auction house. And Rudy had a particular brand of wine that nobody else had. It was a French wine. Too many different names, and I could fake it, but I don't really know how to pronounce it, so I'm just saying it was a French wine. And from the years 1944 to 1949 and 1966 in particular was the best years this wine was ever made. So Rudy was going through this auction house, was selling, at one point he was selling $35 million a month of his wine. And especially the biggest seller was this Domaine something French wine from 1944 to 1949 and 1966. And he sold it all out. The auction house made a lot of money. The connoisseurs had the best wines in the world. The only problem was this French wine, the Domaine something from 44 to 49 in 1966. They were great years. But they didn't start making that wine until 1982. See, here's what Rudy did. Rudy knew enough about blends, and he knew enough about these billionaire assholes that they wanted this wine and would never open it. So Rudy didn't worry about what was in the bottle. Rudy knew how to fake the bottle. He got the right glass from the right period in our history. He got the right labels. He got the right printing. He got the right paper. Rudy fucked a whole lot of people. There is a Netflix documentary called Sour Grapes, which explains this whole thing a lot better than I did. Plus, you get pictures. Okay, but here's the deal. It happens in basketball. It happens in baseball. It happens in football. Somehow we let Eli Manning slide. Hey, Dave Sanborn, a really good alto saxophone player, not Kenny G. This is Chicago's song from 1987. We let Eli Manning off the hook. Eli was selling game jerseys that he knew weren't game jerseys. And before they went to trial, this was like the last 2 years now, before they went to trial, Eli settled. Okay, so NFL analogy. Smoke a joint, miss 4 games. Commit fraud, play every week. But you know what? That's the bad news. Now, I got some shit I want to say, okay? Because here's the deal. Again, if I can convince you, you got the money. I want to convince you that the stuff I have is really real, because it is. It's really real. You just got to trust me, okay? All right, I'm going to show you the first item. First item right here. If you watch Game of Thrones, you know that's a real place. And you understand that real things happen in that place. And in the last season, the North Wall came down because the dragon knocked it down. Look what they found. Let me get this key off. Game of Thrones from the Red Wedding. Yeah, this shit is real, y'all. And you might think this bottle isn't real, but the bottle is made of dragon glass. Bidding starts at $20,000. Cool? Cool. Okay, I gotta show you something else. Now look, I gotta put gloves on for this one because I don't want to mess it up. But when I was in North Carolina years ago, I worked at a restaurant called Daryl's. And Daryl's was in between Durham and Chapel Hill. And Michael Jordan used to come to this restaurant a lot. Now, sometimes he would sit with his back to the wall, but that's a whole nother podcast. Here's the deal. This one day, this little boy had a basketball, and he was kind of kicking it around, and he kicked it over to Michael Jordan's table. And Michael kicked the ball and picked it up, and he rolled it back. And the little boy forgot the ball. Nobody else got it. But I was a waiter there. I was the closing waiter, so I got it. So look, here it is. I'm not touching it because it still has his fingerprints on it. But it's a basketball touched by Michael Jordan. Bidding starts at $30,000. Yes. Okay. One more. This was really cool. You think this is a flip phone? Hey, I lived in San Diego years ago, like in the 80s, and I was in this big mall, and all of a sudden there was a whole lot of commotion. We didn't understand what was going on. Then we find out Michael Jackson was in the mall. And they had all these circus people acting and all this kind of stuff. And this one man, he had this big costume on, his big long legs, and he was standing in front of this long-looking mirror, something that made you like stretch and all that. And Michael Jackson looked at the man and he said, "Hey, look at that man in the mirror." But you know what? The phone was on record. Now, I'm going to turn it this way because I blocked out the number because I don't want anybody to get the number. But I'm going to play you what he said. Listen. Let me get open. "Hey, look at that man in the mirror." Did you hear that? Michael Jackson. Listen again. "Hey, look at that man in the mirror." It's real. You get the phone too. Bidding starts at $50,000. Look, come on. You got the fucking money. There's a lot of people that can use it. Okay? Maybe if these people, if these places that needed help, like this community centers that help the homeless and all that stuff, maybe if they held an auction and an athlete would just toss them their dirty socks. Or a billionaire give them a bottle of wine. They could use a whole lot of that shit to help a whole lot of people get better day to day. So, professional athletes, give us your dirty socks, your wristbands, your old jerseys. Somebody's going to buy them. Because in America, we do shit like that. Disclaimer, we can do anything we want with our own money. I just wish we did sometimes something a little bit better. Have a good day, everybody. Hey, listen, I still got this shit. I got some more stuff, too. So call me, okay? Hit me up. I'll go down on the price a little bit. Just a little bit. Have a good day.